Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Warner. I'm the founder of Mixergy.com. And when Matt Ellsworth, who is the course facilitator at Mixergy, pitched me on this idea, I said, Facebook? I'm not sure there's enough there. Then he started walking me through the tactics that you're about to learn in this course. And I said, Matt, we have to clear the whole course agenda and get to this right away. I had no idea all this was possible. Matt, of course, did. He gets social in a way that most people aren't even aware of yet. Matt does business development and product strategy at EighthBridge. Merchants partner with EighthBridge to create social shopping experiences for their customers within Facebook and and on their e-commerce sites. Matt will be facilitating this course, and Matt, take it away.
All right, thanks Andrew for the great introduction. Like Andrew said, my name is Matt Ellsworth, and I'm here with one of my really good friends, Lou Abramowski. Say hi to the people, Lou.
Hey, people.
And we are here today to teach you about Facebook. We deal with Facebook on a daily basis here at EighthBridge, but we're also going to talk to you about some of the things that Lou does outside of EighthBridge to enhance your Facebook experience for your web business or just your personal brand, and we'll probably get a little bit more into how you guys can use that individually. And so what we're going to do is go through the agenda that you see here on the screen in the Google Doc here, and make sure that we cover all the different items that are important to you guys. What we'll do is we'll start off in the Facebook Superpowers section. So we just want to tell you that with this conversation with myself and Lou, you're going to be learning a lot. You're going to learn how to grow your audience, how to bootstrap your Facebook marketing. And what we mean by that is all of these strategies, besides some of the bonus strategies, are free. So all they take is you implementing them inside of Facebook, and they don't require any marketing dollars. We're also going to teach you how to monetize your Facebook presence, which is what we do at EighthBridge on a daily basis. So at this point, what I'd like to do is turn it over to Lou for a slight introduction, and then we'll get into the story of how Lou met Twig the Fairy.
Hey everyone, my name is Lou Abramowski. I'm a co-founder here at EighthBridge. So I've been working on Facebook commerce for probably the better part of 3 years now. EighthBridge was actually the first company ever to put a store inside of Facebook. And it's kind of funny at the time, I don't think we really even realized what we were getting ourselves into. It was pretty exciting, but me personally, I've been bleeding blue since about the time Facebook launched in 2004. I wear my Facebook t-shirt, I think, on a weekly basis. So when we started going with portable storefronts, I knew an obvious path right away was to get into Facebook. And the minute we launched it, it really kind of propelled our business to something a lot more than I think we even realized we were going to be getting into. And since that launch with 1-800-Flowers back in 2009, we've launched some really premier clients like Hallmark, a big player in the flash sales market, Holtlook.
Recently acquired by Nordstrom.
Brooks Brothers.
Delta Airlines.
Delta Airlines, maybe our flagship at this point. Some real serious clients on our client list. And while EighthBridge probably isn't going to help anybody out in the audience, it might be something really interesting for you guys to take a look at EighthBridge.com and just look at the client list and look at the services we have to offer and check out the really, really cool things that are happening inside of social commerce, particularly on the Facebook platform. It's a really exciting space, and we're pretty proud to be in it. And getting to work inside of Facebook every single day is a dream come true, really.
And one note that I'd like to make is, like Andrew said, I do business development for EighthBridge, so I'm constantly bringing Lou in to discuss these same strategies that we're about to present to you today. So literally this is the exact same thing that we would be working with Delta Airlines on, or 1-800-Flowers on, or any of these other enterprise class brands, these billion-dollar companies. These same strategies will work for your small business as they will for a big business or even an enterprise level company. So with that, let's get into the story here. So Lou, why don't you talk a little bit about who Twig the Fairy is and what it has to do with the course that we're about to do today.
So Twig the Fairy, well, I guess in my environment, first and foremost is my girlfriend. Her real name's Kathy, but Twig the Fairy is a children's performer that travels all around the country, performing at Renaissance festivals. So she spends about 10 months flying in and out of cities all around the country to do the performances on the street at Renaissance festivals, mostly for children and for the parents of those children, or just people who kind of have a childlike spirit about them. So we've been dating now a little over 2 years, and it's funny because when we first began dating, I didn't really know what she did other than the fact that she was a children's performer. And when I found out that she was a fairy, I honestly said the words to her, "The fairy thing is really cute, but you know you're going to have to get a real job someday." And somehow our relationship survived past that.
It was just barely.
Yeah, to the point where I did eventually get to see her perform, and at that point, when I did see her perform, I realized just how incredibly talented she is, and it kind of coincided also with the launch of the Facebook Pages product a couple of years ago, and at the time, I think she had something close to about 3,000 friends on MySpace, but she didn't really ever really communicate with them. So one of the things I did is actually on the exact day that the Facebook Pages product launched, I opened up a Twig the Fairy page for her, and we kind of let it sit, and we realized, we had begun kind of talking about working on marketing for her character together, and later on, we came back to the Facebook page only to realize, even though we never told anybody about it, I think something like close to 1,000 people had already connected with her page, and we hadn't done any marketing. And the fact that my realization kind of coincided with the Facebook Pages product, and the fact that it was spreading really virally in Facebook without too much effort made me think that we could do some really, really exciting things. So, at that point, Kathy and I, or Twig and I, decided to really put some effort into figuring out how best we can start tackling, communicating and connecting with her audience in a much different way. And it's also kind of important to note that Twig's real character in person doesn't speak. So when she's performing, she actually never speaks a single word and only communicates through kind of physicality and movement. So opening up in Facebook was really, really kind of a challenge to begin with, because it was this first time where she could actually kind of speak to her audience directly.
So that's to set the stage of the story, why we'll be focusing a lot on the Twig the Fairy page and why Lou is considered a Facebook fairy wrangler. The other thing that I kind of want to highlight, because I'm close with both Lou and Kathy or Twig, is that why don't you just talk a little bit, this is kind of the inspiring part of this, why don't you talk a little bit about where Twig was at the point when you opened up the Facebook page as a performer in her career. And whatnot.
Yeah, that's a good point, because one of the things that was, I guess, kind of putting me in this frame of thought that she had to put the fairy thing behind her. She was literally living in poverty. As she would travel out to these Renaissance festivals, she would live without running water, without heat, and in kind of these trailers, or even in some locations just a tent with kind of a shared bathroom area. That probably comes as no surprise to some people who are familiar with Renaissance festivals, but that's where she was a little over 2 years ago. Not even getting a hot shower on a regular basis. So I think we'll talk a little bit in a little bit about where she's at today. But
yeah, so the message of inspiration for all you web entrepreneurs out there that are living in a tent without running water. pay attention, pay close attention. So let's get into a little bit more of the hot and messy details here. Let's talk about why Facebook. And with Facebook, we'll start with MAU, monthly active users. Why is that important?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that we could talk about, regarding Facebook and how it's important, and I don't think a lot of them would come as a surprise. But, one of the things that I think a lot of people don't really realize is that although you may have 100,000 people connected to your page on Facebook, it doesn't mean that you're actually sending out messages into the news feeds of all of those people. The number that actually matters is your monthly active users number, which is accessible in the Facebook Insights, and I'm sure anybody who's used a Facebook page has seen that. But you can just go to facebook.com/insights and find and kind of navigate your way through to find your monthly active users number. And the reason that that's important is that's really truly a gauge of how many people are interacting with your content and actually consuming your content on a monthly basis. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen really, really large pages with millions of people connected with the page, and then they'll make a post, and you'll notice that maybe they only get 100 or 200 comments or likes out of the 3 or 4 million people on their page. And the reason for that is because their MAU count is down. And I think what we're going to talk about a lot today is mechanisms and techniques that you can use to boost that MAU number, because particularly for those people who are spending money on advertising or putting in more than just sweat equity into growing your fan base, it's really important to maintain that MAU count high to maintain that you have some sort of channel of communication with the people who have connected with your page.
So, obviously MAU is really, really important, after that explanation from Lou. What we're going to share with you next are just kind of a couple stories of what's been possible for Twig with Facebook. In the meantime, you may want to go to facebook.com/twigthefairy. If you haven't already liked Twig, you'll probably get this little sad face here, which is one of the strategies that you can employ in the future. So once you click like, you'll be able to kind of take a look at the page, see how passionate Twig's fans are, and if you want to take the time while we're talking about these stories, maybe even get your own fairy name. It's pretty cute. It's a lot of fun, and I'll actually go through the process of getting one of these so you can just see what that's like while Lou talks a little bit about this first story here, which is $27,000+ in donations in only 2 weeks, and that occurred on Facebook, right, Lou?
Yeah, we did. We did everything on Facebook and just took the contributions via PayPal. So back in the fall, it's been a lifelong dream for my girlfriend to release a children's book, and we didn't really know the best way to go about it because it turns out that putting together a book costs quite a bit of money, and what we wanted to do is make sure that whatever we were going to put out was really consistent with the Twig brand and excellence, and we didn't want to just also we didn't want to just put something out on Lulu and price it really high. What we wanted to do is something a little bit more community oriented and have a little bit of fun with it. So what we did is launched our own Kickstarter campaign that we solicited contributions to the project prior to doing any printing or any preparation for the book. We just told people, if you love Twig, here are your options, and you can donate at multiple different levels, and be part of the book and, call yourself a producer of the book by making these donations. And what we did is we launched this kind of campaign that went on for about 2 weeks on Facebook, asking people to make donations, communicating with them regularly about the progress of the project, and we ended up landing roughly around $27,000 in donations in those 2 weeks, and eventually did end up making the book and getting it out in time for Christmas.
Yeah, it was an incredible story watching it unfold. I also got my book by the time Christmas started, so I was pretty happy about that. One of the next stories that kind of astonished me was the story about the calendar sales that you guys did shortly following after the donations. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, headed into December, we knew that one of the other Twig products is just a wall calendar with some Twig photography on it. And headed into the month, we knew that we had a ton of books to deliver from all the people who had made donations. And we knew that we weren't going to have the bandwidth to package up and deliver all of these books and a ton of sales. So what we set for ourselves, a goal for the month, was to sell about $3,000 worth of calendars through Facebook exclusively. And we kind of put together this campaign to post multiple times kind of throughout the month with different types of promotions, and as Christmas approached, make them a little bit more aggressive. And it turns out that in one single post on Facebook, we ended up generating $6,000 in sale, which was double our goal and probably about double our bandwidth. So we ended up, I think, staying up for about 48 consecutive hours to make sure everybody got their shipments in time for Christmas. But it was pretty exciting to see the response on Facebook.
It's good old-fashioned hard work, folks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about just briefly a little bit about where you're at today in Facebook, Lou, and then we're going to get into the stuff that everybody's waiting for, which is the advice on how to replicate the success that you guys have had in Facebook.
Yeah, so we're just on the doorstep of 200,000 likes for Twig the Fairy, and every single day that number grows by kind of a variable amount between hundreds or thousands. And her audiences now out at the Renaissance festivals think of her as a genuine celebrity. And we've come across people as we've gone to other Renaissance festival and other areas, just kind of on the street, and had people treat her like a genuine celebrity. And we actually had a moment where somebody started like tearing up and couldn't speak. But my girlfriend's been really, really great about it and handled the situation really, really well. But it's affecting kind of her day-to-day performances, and it's also affecting sales at the cart. She has merchandise carts at a lot of the places that she performs at, and kind of merchandise booths.
And not only that, but it also affects what they pay her to come to their festivals, right?
Yep, and her contract values have skyrocketed since this audience has been built, and obviously traffic to her website, and the times that we are kind of pushing products, we always kind of see an overwhelming response to people trying to get products. And the reality is that now we're actually unable to keep up technically with the production and fulfillment, and just keeping the products up to date on her website and making them available for sale. So it's kind of where we're at today.
Okay, that's fantastic. All right, so what you should have garnered so far is that Facebook is real, people. If there's any other Andrew Warners out there, believe. So let's get into it. As you can see, point E here is what we're really trying to stress, which is that you should start today. The first item on the list, first strategy, post every single day. And this is kind of a Gary Vaynerchuk thing as well when it applies to like blogging, Twitter, all kinds of different things. So let's talk a little bit about why it's important to post every day on Facebook.
Yeah, I think I might start just by saying that there's a lot of people out there giving it, I think, in my opinion, really bad advice about trying to avoid annoying your audience by posting every single day. And the reality is that posting every single day is incredibly important to keep your audience engaged, because Facebook calculates this newsfeed kind of optimization and newsfeed affinity between pages and users. And the stronger that affinity between a page and a user, the more often that page's content gets showed to that user inside the newsfeed. So it's incredibly important that you post every single day. And, for the, I guess, scientists out in the audience, you can kind of experiment with this yourself. But you'll notice that on the days where you do not post and you go and look at your monthly active users number change on that day, you will almost invariably see that your MAU, or your monthly active users number, will go down. And the reason for that is because, although Facebook doesn't expose or give any information about its algorithm for deciding this newsfeed optimization algorithm, but the reality is, I think after 24 hours, your affinity with pages starts to decrease if you haven't been shown a post or liked the post or commented on it. And the reality is that you need to post every single day in order to maintain that monthly active users number, because what you want to do is post every single day and garner interactions with comments and likes from people.
So that's important here. So, the next point we have here is about posting engaging content. Let's talk a little bit about a framework for posting engaging content. What types of things should we consider when we're making a post? Because I'm bought into posting every day. Now what?
Mm-hmm. Well, this isn't new information, and anybody who reads anything from, Gary Vaynerchuk, Chris Brogan, I'm sure that stuff from Andrew too kind of reinforces that original content is the most important thing that you can do. By supplying other people's content, you're really not delivering something new. What you want to do is communicate to anybody that's connected with your page that the content that they're getting and the value that they're getting by connecting with your page is that they're going to get content they can't find anywhere else on the internet. And it's something kind of important to think about as you're posting every single day is, what I am about to put out to all of my fans and all the people that are connected with my page, is it really interesting? And is it something that they couldn't have found anywhere else? And is it kind of fun and engaging?
So, say if a fairy were to type a message while flying upside down, would that be considered original content, or can you find that on Mixergy.com?
I don't think there's a ton of fairy content on Mixergy.com.
Not yet.
Not yet. After this course, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a great example there of working also humor into a post. And I think you guys do that a lot. But one thing that people should notice here is that 1,463 people have taken time out of their day to like this specific post, and there's 209 comments on this one single post. So obviously that's an effective method as well to post something original.
Yeah, and on the humor front too, if I could just add one more thing on that, it's the advice I often give with this is that you try to recognize the fact that you're in Facebook and appreciate the medium that you're in. So this type of humor won't translate over the phone or like on a pamphlet at a storefront or on a sign outside the wall, but this like upside down text and this like textual humor, right, works better because of the environment that it's in. And this is true for the example that we're giving here, but one of the other kind of funny posts that we've used a couple other times that's along these lines is we've posted something about submitting a Facebook feature request to add the glitterific button. And people have responded really, really well to it because they realize that this is a piece of content that was written specifically for them in the environment that they're reading it. And it doesn't feel like there's some sort of a robot just operating the page. It actually feels like there's a human being behind it. And just by recognizing and thinking a little bit about where you're posting and how you can use that environment to better communicate where you are, I think really works well, particularly for humor.
Yeah, so there's some buzz in the street this year about F8, Facebook's big conference, and the glitterific button.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg's announcing it.
Okay, good, perfect. All right, well, let's move on to the next item here, which is not what you would typically think, right? So Lou says links stink, but I'm still skeptical.
Yeah, one of the things that we noticed really, really early on is that by sharing hyperlinks inside the newsfeed, we almost invariably lower our interaction rates. So what we find is that, by comparison to all of our other posts, our like count and our comment count was always just abysmal compared to the rest of the posts. And, I came to the realization that's because, people are very, very hesitant to click the like button or comment before they've actually visited the content that you're sharing. And on top of that, they're very unlikely to come back to that exact post to provide their 2 cents or click the like button after they left Facebook altogether. And I think the third one is really more my gut telling me that I think people tend not to want to leave Facebook when they're in Facebook. And I've tested this method by using some copy that says ending copy with the words "without leaving Facebook," and it always converts better on a click-through rate when I include the words "without leaving Facebook." And I think any sort of visual or copy that communicates to the user that they're not leaving Facebook will almost always help out Facebook users to get a little bit more engaged, and links communicate the exact opposite, particularly the example that we're showing here with Dexter. And you can see the just side-by-side comparison, right, where Dexter is sharing this quote from, one of their shows versus the link above it. And you can see they're getting, like 15% the interaction rate on one versus the other. And, I see this over and over and over, and it impacts our monthly active users as well. So, I've had conversations with people that are behind the newsfeed EdgeRank, that algorithm that decides what shows up there, and they've told me that the link click-throughs do count towards EdgeRank and that newsfeed algorithm, but I have yet to see it anecdotally or through any sort of experimentation, because when I post links, my monthly active user count definitely does not go up.
Okay, great. Man, by the way, I am excited for the next season of Dexter. It is going to be really, really good. Okay, moving on to number 3. Let's talk about Cameo Power. This is one of my personal favorites.
So we started doing this, I think, with Twig maybe a year and change ago. Well, I guess I don't really have a story behind it, but the bottom line is I realized that I think it's actually by far the most popular kind of application inside of Facebook, and it's, Facebook is the biggest photo sharing website on the entire web, and it has been for a very, very long time. And Facebook says over and over the reason for that is because of the tagging feature. And one of the things that we realized that people were doing with Twig for a while actually was tagging themselves in Twig's pictures. So, they were finding some sort of connection with Twig beyond just trying to, read her content and just consume everything that she was posting. They also wanted to, in some way, kind of represent themselves with Twig. So one of the other things about my girlfriend is she's incredibly expressive. And you can imagine, as a character who doesn't speak, she needs to be. So one of the things that we started experimenting with was putting up a bunch of pictures with a bunch of different expressions. And with that, we started doing this Very Friday thing. And for a very long time now, we've been posting 3 images with each image itself has, I think in this one there's 12 and anywhere from like 12 to 25 or so images. And we give the users a call to action, and we present this call to action for people to tag themselves in the photo.
And how many people can tag themselves in a photo?
Each photo has a limit of 50 tags, and it's really funny with Twig because we post 3 photos every week, and 150 fill up in minutes, if not seconds.
It is incredible.
Yeah, but you can see here people have an opportunity to express themselves just by tagging themselves at the location for the photo. That kind of represents how their day is going. And every single week we get comments about how people are sad that they never make it into Fairy Friday, and they wish that there were more images every Friday so that they didn't miss it, or that it was at a different time of day. But the real beauty of this is not, it is really exciting to provide people with, something to just add a little bit more enjoyment to their day and a little bit more fun on Facebook than I think they usually have. The exciting thing for, I think, the audience out there is that this is a tremendous marketing opportunity. And I don't think there's any better way to do this, actually, because all of these people who are tagging themselves in this photo are actually giving this photo an opportunity to show up in their friends' news feeds. So what that means is that if Matt and I are friends, and Matt does not like Twig the Fairy, and I tag myself in one of Twig's photos here, Matt can now see Twig content in his news feed, even though he's never connected with Twig the Fairy. And it's a really, really powerful technique, because not only will that potentially show up in the news feed, but now it's forever in their photo album until they untag themselves, which I can tell you never, ever happens. So I think over the course of the year and change, or I'm not even sure how long we've been doing this, thousands and thousands of people have tagged themselves in these photos, and if you multiply that by the 140 people each, the average number of friends at 140 people, I mean, we're talking probably in the millions for the potential reach for this. So what we've done in each one of these photos is actually included some branding. You might have noticed that the words Twig the Fairy and the URL facebook.com/Twig the Fairy appear in these images. So we've really used this as a branding opportunity in the middle of this fun little thing that we give people every Friday.
Lou, Seth in the audience is asking about how would this apply to a business. He's saying that Twig is a very compelling character and concept, but for a business online that doesn't have such an expressive front person, how do you use this? How do you use these photos properly?
Yeah, that's a really, really, really great question. And the way that I've done this, and I've seen other people do this very successfully for something that isn't necessarily as fun of a brand, is we've asked people to create polls. So in particular, what you might want to do here is post 3 images of your products. So maybe you've got 3 products that you're really excited to tell your fans about, and you post a photo album with those three products, and then you ask your fans to tag themselves in their favorite of the 3 products. I think that's probably the best way I've seen that applied.
Yeah, and I can see that.
And it's really funny because I've heard that from other business owners too. And once they start doing this, and if they do this regularly, and they condition their fans to tag themselves in these photos, what they'll find is that their fans start tagging themselves in photos that they never asked them to tag themselves in. And that's when you've really kind of engaged your audience, when they start taking actions to promote your brand without you asking them.
Another use that we've talked to a couple different brands about doing this is, say you're selling products, maybe web apps, whatever you're selling, right? You could have people click to tag themselves in their favorite product, and then the first 50 that tag themselves, you'll actually personally send them a message in their Facebook inbox with a promo code or some sort of savings or some sort of deal or a message that lets them know that you're thanking them, and it becomes a really warm message to send somebody, and they feel connected to your page and connected to your business. So that's something that we've seen used in the past as well. And I think way back, a long time ago, IKEA used this in some types of promotions as well.
Yeah, back when I think there was Facebook promotions that policies that restricted the use of this kind of feature to win stuff, but. Yeah, and then I think there's one other way that I've seen this used pretty successfully, and it's kind of in a Where's Waldo theme. So I've seen people post images like this, and because Facebook's photo tagging is actually kind of spatial association along with just the tagging of the entire photo, one cool thing I've seen is just interesting photos where people are asked to tag themselves inside the area of interest. Maybe it is just a Where's Waldo picture, but I can imagine some people out in the audience doing some really, really creative things around that that could be really exciting.
All right. I see some of the questions that people are asking have to do with points that I know you're going to bring up in the future. That's why if you guys are seeing that I'm not asking them right now, I want to leave them for the section of the course when Matt and Lou will be talking about them.
Yeah. So one more thing, I think this is a great way to segue, with this photo tagging and Cameo Power being a big call to action. Why don't we talk about the magic call to action, as you call it, Lou?
Yeah. Can we stick with this tagging just one more second, because I did want to kind of bring up this. Is it okay if we talk about the crowdsourcing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Content stuff. So in particular, one of the really cool ways to do this also is to ask your fans to start submitting photos of themselves, maybe using the product, or just generally doing something that's relevant to your business. And what you can do is then, in some sense, you are kind of taking a little bit of the responsibility off your shoulders to produce kind of brand new content, and you become more of a content curator and taking other people's content. So what you can see here, what Matt's showing, is another page that I run where on a weekly basis people send themselves pictures of themselves playing Ultimate Frisbee, and on Friday I post 3 of the most interesting ones. And this is really exciting too, because people are submitting their own photos, they find themselves tagging themselves in the photos too, or identifying some friends that they might see that might be interested in the photo, or doing similar things and tagging themselves. So it's another kind of viral opportunity to reach the friends of your fans.
And if you guys want to do your own Where's Waldo, you can go add the Ultimate page later on and try to find the embarrassing photo of me in Dominator Friday from this week's past.
What's the URL on that?
It's facebook.com/theultimatepage.
I see it now on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll share, the links will be shared later in the document as well. Okay, anything else on crowdsourcing content, Lou, that you want to address before we move on?
No, I think that's good.
Okay,
that's good.
Perfect. So the magic call to action.
Yeah. So this is something that's really simple, and I don't think it needs much explanation really. But other than, I think a lot of people are kind of afraid to use language like the words "click like if" followed by a statement, because they feel like it kind of cheapens their brand, or it feels kind of desperate. And I guess that's fine if you're incredibly brand conscious. If you're talking about really some of the most elitist, I guess, brands in the world, then maybe there's some concern there. But the reality is that this is incredibly, incredibly effective. And you can see, I think we'll go through several examples here, but it is incredibly rare where this would not work. I can't think of a scenario actually where this would not boost your interaction rates. And I've done A/B testing where I've posted the exact same piece of content. One was just the statement by itself, and the other one was using something like "click like if" followed by the statement, and every single time using the words click like as a call to action, or giving, just generally the call to action to the users to click the like button will invariably boost your interaction rates.
I think this one is particularly incredible. It is 5 words. It says click like if you believe, and almost 5,000 people have liked this.
I was thinking that same thing too. That's amazing. But just adding 2 words to that magic intro gets 5,000 people to hit like. And considering what you said earlier about what happens when someone does hit like and how they're much more likely to see your content, that is especially incredible. I made a note of that too.
Yeah. So later this week, Andrew, I want to click like if I'm an ambitious upstart.
Yeah, actually, I'm actually taking notes here as we do this because I know that everyone wants to know, does this work? And if it does work, will it work for Andrew? And if it's not working for Andrew, then what's wrong with this? I want them to see on my site, in my Facebook fan page, how all of these ideas work. I want to prove to them that these ideas work by using them myself.
Perfect.
And I see Derek in the audience is saying that he's loving this. Thank you. And thank you right back, Derek.
Yeah,
Derek, we're glad you believe, man.
Find that like button. Maybe one kind of last point on this, and I guess not to beat a dead horse, but by comparison, the other way to kind of go about stating that same post would be, do you believe? And had I posted that, do you believe, or had Twig posted, do you believe? I assure you the interaction rate wouldn't have gone over 10%. I'm sure we got literally a 10x lift in the number of interactions just by rephrasing it in a way such that people, all they had to do is click their mouse button once. And Matt was just showing you there too, kind of, we've experimented with, using pretty much the same language in a couple different ways. But this is another really effective way to do it if the click like thing doesn't work. I use this one over and over too, is I make the statement, I follow it by 2 line breaks or 2 carriage returns, and then in parentheses I just say, we recommend you like this. Or maybe in Andrew's case he would use, I recommend you like this. Speak in a language that the audience understands there. But, just by giving that extra call to action there, is very effective. In fact, I think I've used over and over the simple post that entirely reads just the word Friday, and underneath it, in parentheses, we recommend you like this. And it's incredibly highly interactive.
Turns out people like Friday.
Yep.
So Jason in the audience is asking, he's asking, what number should you be shooting for when it comes to like, impressions, feedback?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, that's a really incredible, it's a great question. That, as far as the percentage goes, I think if you're getting into the range of like 50 to 60% of all of the people who have connected with your page are in your monthly active users number, I think you're doing a really great job. Let me just do a quick calculation here. Twig, for example, I think is one of the highest percentage MAUs to actual likes. Of course, I don't have access to a lot of the bigger pages, but for pages that are sitting with like 200,000 plus likes on their page, I regularly see Twig outperforming those ones with 3,000-4,000. And just to give you an idea, her monthly active user count today is at 110,000 of the 195 she has.
110,000 out of 195 people who are fans of her. 110,000 took some kind of action or interacted with Twig the Fairy?
In the last month, yeah.
In the last month. Is it too personal to ask to see that page on Matt's computer?
I'd have to log in here, but let's see. Maybe, are you logged in right now?
I'll tell you what, if you have to log him out, then maybe we can come back to it afterwards, after we're done with the presentation.
I think what Lou will do is maybe add me as an admin, and then I can actually just use my profile to get on, and then he can take me off later, so I can't steal all the fairy secrets.
Okay, well, I don't want to interrupt the flow if you guys want to move on to the next point, but I'm going to add it here to the
No.
list of questions that people have been coming up with during the session.
Yeah, that's great. And keep the great questions coming, people. You know, we want this to be interactive as well, and hopefully you're having a good time so far. So this is.
Can I say just one more thing about that last question that came through? In terms of impressions and interaction rate, my goal with Twig right now is to have the impressions hit about 100,000 impressions for every single post that she has, and that number fluctuates a lot because I think Facebook does tweak that newsfeed optimization EdgeRank algorithm quite a bit. Month to month, we see drastic fluctuations in that number. Some days we'll just be feeling great, and that number is really, really high, and we've seen it get as high, literally, as 300,000 or 400,000 impressions per post. But now, the number really sits more around like 120,000 per post. So that's kind of where we're at in terms of impressions. And then I really try to make sure that we're getting somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2%, 1.5% to 2%, I think, for interaction rates. So that would mean if there were 100,000 impressions of it, I consider a really successful post about 2,000 comments and likes.
So, that brings up a thought of mine that we've talked about this before, and this doesn't have to do with the next point. It's kind of just in general with these strategies. So there's smaller pages out there, and some of the audience members may be opening up their page for the first time, and they might get discouraged at first. Are those numbers in the beginning for a smaller page indicative of their future success, or is it kind of a keep going and plow through it type thing where you're going to need to do to see the type of interactions that you're talking about?
I think for the smaller pages, it actually seems to be a little bit easier to get higher interaction rates and a higher monthly active user number. And as your page grows, it's harder to maintain those higher percentages. I think there's this balancing point where you pass like the 500 likes mark all the way up to 10,000, and it seems like you're just very confident and you're connecting with almost everybody on the page. But as the fan base grows, it gets harder to maintain that large percentage. So I don't really have a great answer for that. But I have, in my own experience, I run several pages that are just 2,000 or 3,000, and the interaction rates tend to be much, much higher. And the monthly active users tend to be much, much higher as a percentage of the total likes.
So I want to keep this moving, but I've got to tell you that Seth Price in the audience just tried the click like if idea as we were talking. He said, I just posted click like if and filled in the blanks, and immediately someone liked it. And he says, I only have 345 likes in total on my page. So immediately, even with a small audience, he was able to get a response.
Who did that?
That is Seth in the audience, who's testing out these ideas in real time for us. Thanks,
Awesome.
Seth.
Perfect.
Yeah, this is a little off agenda too, but this is one of the beauties of Facebook, right? Is like there really isn't an easier medium to push out content so immediately and test things out so immediately. It's really a fun place to do that kind of stuff.
So we'll dive. Lou has made me an admin. So we'll dive just real quickly into the insight. Do we want to go to insight, Lou, or do you want to go? I'll let Lou drive here for a second.
So you can just kind of see the summary up here. Close that there. In the upper right-hand corner, there's an insight summary here showing the monthly active users, and you can see that on a daily basis. I think that represents either yesterday or 2 days ago. In Facebook Insights, there's about a 24 to 48 hour delay on that data that's coming through, but you can see that 110,000 people are in the monthly active users bucket. Got about 300 new likes yesterday. There's 62,000 daily post views, and I think that might be actually uniques. I don't think that's impressions. And then the post feedback says 400, and that's I don't know what that represents, but I don't think we've had a day under 1,000 anytime recently.
So another interesting thing that I'm seeing there is some recommended pages, and you get to see how many of your fans like certain other things. It looks like about 54,000 of your fans like Lady Gaga. Do you think there's a collaboration potential there with Lady Gaga and Twig the Fairy?
Well, no, but
It'd be a good storybook.
Yeah, you joke about it, but I have used this information to guide the content better for what I share. So, I think
if you were to look at all these different things, you can tell what your audience is interested in and use that as relevancy.
Yeah,
oh, that's
exactly.
interesting. So I guess we could even say if we see that our audience likes Starbucks or South Park, or in this case, what do we see, True Blood, we can do a question, or we can say, click like if you like True Blood, or click like if you're a fan of Starbucks or Coca-Cola or whatever else they're into according to this page. I could see how that'd be really useful.
Yeah, I think with Twig, we made some comment about I think it was something like, I'm not sure who this Lady Gaga person is, but if she thinks he's getting my glitter, good luck, or something like that.
So you probably won't be making any Charlie Sheen and fairy dust comments coming up, though, will you?
I don't think there's any Charlie memeing.
I see Derek again in the audience. He's saying, with all these ideas, you're giving him specific action. He's saying, with all these ideas, we can now implement a strategy for what to post over the next 2 to 3 months, and that'll ensure good content. He's saying it's great stuff.
Thanks for the great feedback.
Yeah, that's great feedback. But just so you know, Lou's been using these for 2 years. So, 3 to 4 months, you can literally reuse these ideas constantly because all you have to do is plug in new content.
I see. So you're saying it's not just 2 or 3 months worth of content. It's just over and over. You just keep recycling the basics techniques.
How's that for not letting somebody compliment you? No, but really, seriously, folks, thank you so much for the feedback. Let's keep moving along. We have a lot more great stuff to share with you here. So this next one it's a little bit similar to the magic call to action, right? It's a call to action in itself, but it's the fill in the blank. And why don't you talk just a little bit briefly, kind of overview why this is different than the call to action specifically? This is more geared towards comments, right?
Yeah, this is more geared towards comments, and in my experience, just anecdotally, I've found that comments have a tendency to reach the newsfeed virally for the friends of your fans better than likes do. I think likes do show up in the friends of fans occasionally, but comments in particular, I think just means so much more because there is so much more, effort into typing some sort of an answer than there is just lifting your forefinger to click the button. So, I think just fundamentally it is different and more powerful to get comments than it is to get likes. But I think also it is a little bit harder to get comments. But this particular, and these 2 mechanisms coming up here are the ones that I found to be the best way to kind of solicit comments from users.
Andrew, I want to see a post on Mixergy's page that says, this week I'm going to interview blank. And you let people decide who they want that next interview to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would probably be even more effective than just asking an open-ended question, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But I think that's a really good idea, Matt.
Yeah, and so let's just take a look here real quick. This is like one of my favorite screenshot examples that we have because of how similar the posts are, right? So it doesn't get much closer than this to an A/B test right in front of you. So if you look at the top post, it says the best looking players make the best ultimate players. And then below it says the best blank players make the best ultimate players. And as you can see, it goes from 32 comments up to 233 comments because you're giving people a way to interact and to find themselves. So as far as A/B testing goes, the proof is in the pudding right there.
All right, so one more question from the audience related to this. Matt is wanting to hold us accountable and make sure that this relates to smaller businesses in addition to national brands. Mike in the audience. So he's saying, how would this relate to a local business?
That's a good question, and I think it would vary kind of from business to business. But I can imagine somebody who maybe runs like an ice cream shop that's and maybe it's a hot day out, It's a 95-degree day out. It's really humid, and a post that might make sense there is to say something like, on hot and humid days, the most refreshing flavor of ice cream is blank. And the reason I say that, again, I found that when you ask an open-ended question, and you could rephrase it that way, right? You could rephrase it like, what's your favorite flavor to get on a hot summer day? I don't find that the interaction rates are as great as just posting this kind of fill-in-the-blank type style post.
Interesting.
So, that might be one way to use it for a local business. I'm not sure what Mike's business is, but...
take some things from relevant around you, right? Take some things from your local environment. There's got to be some business that has a ridiculous slogan nearby that you can, take one of the words out and do a fill in the blank for the slogan, or maybe it's the town motto or something like that, or it has to do specifically with your business. You can take all types of things from the environment around you, and if it's local, just focus on local things.
And I think a good process too for yourselves is to say, I want to get some feedback from my customers and from my fans, and this is the question that I would ask, and write down the question and then say, how can I rephrase this in a way that I can make it a fill-in-the-blank type of post? And then from there, try to also phrase it so that the fill-in-the-blank is not some big sentence that people would have to write, but it's an answer that would be a single word. The simpler you make it for people to interact, the more likely they are to do it. So if the way that you frame the fill-in-the-blank statement is in a way that they only have to type one word to fill in the blank, I think it's a very, very powerful mechanism to get some really important and valuable feedback from your fans, as well as boost interactions.
All right, now Mike is asking, I guess you answered his question with that answer, but now he's asking, how do we make money with this? And we're going to get to that. And I see that there are a few people in the audience who are actually trying this in real time. I'm coming up with all kinds of ideas of how I would use it on my page on Facebook, but I can't leave the chat room and can't leave the session. If you're watching us, you can leave and you can go into Facebook right now and try these ideas right now in real time and do like Seth and Derek and Kevin and some of the others. Kevin is actually running this right now and telling me in the chat room what his feedback is, or giving me a sense of what the feedback is. Do the same thing yourselves. Try it and come back in here. Oh, good. Someone said click like if you want to go to China. Got one person within a few minutes, within 3 minutes. So yeah, some people are trying it. Keep trying it and keep giving me feedback. And better still, just see it for yourself in action. It's so much more powerful when you see it than on your own page than when you just hear us talk about it here.
And I know for a fact there's some people in the room that run some pretty gigantic pages. So people running the big pages, don't be afraid to test some things out. Nobody puts baby in the blank.
Incidentally, not to get off track here, but the China thing just brought up an interesting way that you might use the photo tagging thing for maybe some people who are, travel agents or in the travel industry. Posting pictures of like incredible beach scenes and vacation scenes is an incredibly powerful way to use the photo tagging technique, because it's something that everybody relates to and everybody gets excited about. So if there's anybody in the audience like that, I'd really recommend finding some fantastic vacation photos and then encouraging your audience to tag themselves in the photo and pretend that they're at the location.
Yeah, and for that matter, if your business has, if there's any way that you can tie fails, pictures of complete and utter failures, to what your topic is, that's also going to get really big interactions. You got sites like Failblog and things like that. So sometimes Lou on the Ultimate page will post people failing pretty hard, which is actually what my picture is of. So if you find that, you'll find that pretty interesting as well.
The fun way to do that often is to encourage your fans to tag their friends in their photos, which can also happen. Well, I've never really experimented with that too much out of fear that it might actually annoy some people. But it's a possible way to do some marketing that way.
All right. Andrew, unless you have any more super relevant questions that you'd like to spit at us, we're going to move on to this next step.
Yeah, let's go to the next one. I do see that there are a few people who who can't use these ideas right now because they're managing client web pages. And of course, I understand that. Tomorrow, though, let me know. Let me know how it goes. Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
they're eager to see some more ideas, and a few of them are eager to try something new. So what's the next item?
you know what they say about working with clients: sell them what they want, give them what they need. So
Yeah.
put these into use. So the next point is this or that, and so it's another kind of just a simple wordplay that Lou's found a lot of success with. So why don't you just talk about a little bit of this, and then I'll go to some of the screenshots.
Yeah, so again, I kind of found the best way to get interactions for a question that might be a little bit more seemingly open-ended was to just post the options with the word "or" between them, followed by a question mark. So you can see this example that Matt's pulled up here that says desire or talent. And I had been posting this question in a different way that said, what's more important, desire or talent? And this way, it's funny because it's so much easier to consume and read, and it's more scannable. People seem to react better to it and actually respond at a much higher rate. And also because I'm not putting any sort of context around it, I let people put the context around it themselves. So I didn't put any sort of constraint around the question, and because of that, I let people kind of answer. And you'll notice that a lot of these answers aren't just the one word. They're often like their word and then some justification behind it, or their response plus what they really think the question means. And this, I think, is maybe one of the most effective ways to kind of post some sort of question where you are trying to get some feedback from people.
Great. So on top of that, Facebook recently launched the questions platform. Why don't you talk just a little bit about the success you've seen with that while I show the examples?
Yeah, so Facebook Questions has been around a long time in beta, but just about a week and a half ago, it got released to everybody. And I have noticed the interaction rates on these things are just absolutely gigantic. Matt was showing you the ultimate page here a second ago, but this is a situation where I think people are answering kind of, polling type questions, the similar thing that we were just talking about, but now they can actually answer it with a lot less effort. All it takes is a mouse click to answer one response or the other if you give them the response. And in this case, I've got "Do you believe in fairies?" And I think at the time of the post, which was only 7 hours after it, I think it was in excess of 5,000 interactions. Can you hover over it right now?
Yeah, we're at 5,400.
Just for yes, and there's another 5 for no, right? Yeah, those guys, 630 people killed a fairy. Oh, so sad. So sad. Thankfully, none of them was my girlfriend. So I've noticed a ton of success just in the last week or so with Facebook Questions in terms of getting interactions. And what's really cool about this is this stuff kind of, again, just like the pictures, lasts kind of forever. Normal newsfeed posts have a ephemeral, short-term kind of lifetime to them that you often won't see any more interactions, beyond the first 24 hours or so. But with Facebook Questions, that question will just kind of live on for a long time, kind of continuing to promote the Twig the Fairy page.
How are you adding the question? Specifically, how do you get to the form where you create these poll questions?
Right. So right when you're making your status update, and I'll have Matt go to the right there. So where it says "What's on your mind?" right above it, it gives you that status option, question option, photo, link, or video. And if you hit question there, you can type a question. We're not going to post this, obviously.
Right.
And then you can put some options in there, and then you give people the option to add additional option answers, or you can just fix the answers at the 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 that you give them.
Perfect. Okay, great. People are loving this. People are loving this. Great feedback. Hey, one question came in from Jason that I didn't want to hold on to till later because it's important. He's asking, once you ask these questions or put these polls up and people start interacting, how often do you go back in and respond? It seems like if you're getting thousands of people who are commenting, you have some obligation to go join, but you can't respond to all those people.
Yeah, I use it very, very sparingly, to be honest, and the reason for that is in all the pages that I run, unless it's like a customer service type oriented question or something that really warrants an answer, or we have a really, really funny or good response for it, we just kind of let it live in the Facebook ethos unanswered forever. With Twig, it's interesting because often the fans actually kind of group up together and then answer the questions themselves because it's a community, as well as the ultimate community like that. It is one of the beautiful pieces of Facebook, right, that you as the page owner don't necessarily have to answer the question yourself. Sometimes your fans and your brand ambassadors are out there answering the question for you. For the business owners out there, I would say that you do want to be as responsive as possible. And for some of the brands like that, the advice that I tend to give them is whatever you put on the page, you want to make sure that whoever ends up consuming it, that they're left with a good taste in their mouth. And an example of that is what you'll find is, particularly for like local businesses and, businesses that tend to get like a lot of complaints, like, I don't know, mobile phone providers, they've got complaints all over their pages. I think the best way to, I think it's an opportunity that a lot of these brands really pass up, because if you're out there showing compassion and empathy for the people who are having problems with your product, and you can post a conversation on that wall, and in a post or two posts, get that person to turn around and say, thank you so much for reaching out to me and responding to this question. I now love your brand. It's maybe the most powerful piece of marketing that you can put out there, showing that somebody hated you and then in a matter of one or two sentences completely change their mind and get them to kind of believe in your product is a really big opportunity.
Any other questions that you'd like to cover, Andrew, before we move on?
I've got a few here that I've written down. We'll come back to them later.
Great. So let's move on to the next one, which is really kind of another example of crowdsourcing your content. But as the first point says here, you can really reuse content from number 5 and number 6, so what people are responding to. But let's talk a little bit more about how you've used quoting your fans in the past.
Yeah, I think the big one is often I'll use the fill in the blank type posts to get really funny or really kind of content that's going to be engaged, and then repost it, and then I put their name attached to it and share it with the people that are connected with the page. So you could probably scroll up and take a look here. So this was one of the cases where I took one of the most popular responses in the fill in the blank post, and then I reposted it, and it's just one of these really powerful things that shows the people that there isn't some sort of a robot behind this page, and that there is somebody kind of thinking behind it, and some intelligence behind it in those communities.
And I think this is something important. I think Mike was the one that asked the question about local, right? So a lot of people, when you're working with a local business, a lot of people like to hear their name said, and they like to get, they like to get recognition or credit or whatever, and this is a great opportunity to focus on people that are in your local community and make them feel special on your page specifically.
So how are you doing that? Oh, I see. Can you scroll up? I want to make sure that we see that on our screens. Where did you quote something from the audience?
It was right here, Jake. the
Oh,
best.
I see. Okay. So that's Jake's response. The best looking players make the best ultimate players. Okay. All right. So you had the best blank and you had the blank there and he filled it in and you guys quoted him. And even the quote got 32 comments and 123 likes.
Yep. So,
Got it.
and as you can see, chronologically, they're in the reverse order. But,
Gotcha. Okay. I see now how you would do that.
yep. And then in the picture here is also an example of Oreo taking a fan and putting their picture directly in the Oreo profile picture.
Oh, I see. So that's a fan picture that they used in their profile picture. Got it.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. I could see really being excited if my picture was there, wanting to show it to my friends. All right, cool. Knowing how many
Yeah.
people would see it. Clever. I like it.
Absolutely. So, I think that one's pretty straightforward, right? So it's just repurposing the content that you're getting from people through your other methods. So let's talk a little bit about monetization, which is, obviously the concept of the hour. We're all business people. It all boils down to dollars and cents at some point. So let's talk about some of the ways that you, Lou, have used Facebook to monetize.
I think there's been kind of two primary methods that I've used. One of them, is very simple, and it goes against one of the things that we've already talked about here. But I think there is a kind of a right way to do it, and that's basically to use this method very sparingly and make sure that it is very timely and relevant. And that's just to share links, right? So if you've got a site where you're selling something, or maybe you're running some sort of an affiliate program, or that what you can do is take a platform, and if you can get clicks, it then turns into money. Using all of the techniques leading up to number 8 is going to work very, very well, because you're going to have a free audience to communicate with, because it does not cost anything to set up a Facebook post. This is like truly owning an audience in this sense, right? Like, it even costs money to run your own website, for the most part. It costs money to run an email campaign if it's large enough. But you can get to the point where maybe having 1 million people on your email list is going to cost quite a bit of money to send out updates, or send out that email blast, but it's not going to cost anything on your Facebook page. And you can do it every single day and make sure people don't get annoyed with it. So you can use these first 7 to do something in 8 by posting some links where people might be interested in buying a product, if it's contextually relevant because of the date, because of the time of the year, because you're selling flowers before Mother's Day, because you're selling calendars right before the new year, because you're selling a weight loss product at the new year, or you're selling gift cards right before Christmas, stuff like that.
And so, if everybody in the audience, you're here at Mixergy, you're at a Mixergy course, so I assume you listen to as many Mixergy interviews as I do. And the way that I pitched Andrew this idea initially was, look, all the entrepreneurs that come on your show, the majority of them, or a lot of the ones that have seen a lot of success, when Andrew asked them the question, where did you find your first customers, right? Because we know he nitpicks and finds exactly what their first step was.
Mm-hmm.
It always seems to be that they already had an audience, right? They had somebody following their every move. They had somebody that is engaged with them and that has an affinity for what they're going to do next. And these are all ways that you can use to get people to be connected to you, right? When you launch a new product for your business, or when you do something new for your business, the easiest way to get that message out is to put that message into the immediate audience of people that love your brand, your brand champion, so to speak.
And one more thing on the link sharing front. One thing that I've done occasionally is used photos to kind of bridge the gap between just your plain ordinary link sharing and a link sharing that seems a little bit less intrusive in the newsfeed. So what I've often done is post an album of 3 photos with some content that I think people would want to interact with. And then when people click and browse the photos through the Facebook photo browser, in the photo description include some links with a call to action to click on those things. And that seems to be a little bit more effective way to make sure that you're not alienating your audience and making them feel like they're being sold to, because it is it is so easy to click the unlike button. That's a good way to kind of invite the audience in a little bit more and get them to click on the links that can raise money for you.
Andrew, does the audience have any specific questions about the monetization section?
Yeah, let's make sure that I understand this. I know one of the things that we talked about before the session was about how to make an offer that you're linking out from Facebook to, how to make it relevant and timely. Can you talk a little bit more about that? So if I have a product that I'm trying to sell and I want to link to it from Facebook and make it timely and relevant, what are some ways that I can do that?
I gave kind of some examples already. So, if you have products that are relevant to like Christmas time, obviously that's a great time to share them. It seems like every single month there's definitely a relevant holiday.
I think internet memes was an example that you used before.
That's like the Sean, what's his name? Why am I not thinking of him? The winning guy. Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, give people the example of how you would react to Charlie Sheen getting so much attention online.
Yep, exactly. So.
Yeah, that's definitely an opportunity to put some one product that you might have in the context of this meme that's happening, right? So maybe you've got a performance enhancing type product, maybe you're Tim Ferriss and you got brain clicking and you want to tell people, hey, if you want to be winning like Charlie Sheen, this is an opportunity, and share the kind of link with more information.
And promo code. Use the promo code. It's Tiger Blood. Get that Tiger Blood.
Right. That's what we said. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that idea that you can offer a product that has nothing to do with Charlie Sheen or whatever happens to be the meme of the moment, but you can say if you go in the next half hour to this site and use the promo code, whatever the meme is, maybe it's Tiger's Blood, maybe it's winning, then you'll get a big discount if you use it. That seems like an exciting reason for people to go over right away and follow that link, and it makes it relevant and timely, as you say.
Join Lou Abramowski and Matt Ellsworth as they present an incredible course on Facebook. Promo code Plant a Money Tree.
Winning. So Mike in the audience is saying, can you show how you would make this relevant to a service-based business? So if someone's running a service-based business and now they've followed all the ideas that you've given them up until now, and they've built up a following on Facebook, lots of fans, lots of engagement, and now they're trying to get that person to come to their site, how would they do that? How would they use some of these monetization techniques that you're talking about?
Can we get a little bit more detail on what the service-based business is, or maybe like an industry, or what kind of service we're providing? Is it consulting?
Sure. Actually, you know what, Mike? If you pop in yours, I'll be happy to use it. But since you didn't yet, how about if we say it's a dentist?
I think dentistry is like this. It's actually really, really cool because it's so universal, right? And I think that a lot of these techniques people could use every single day. Like, I can imagine using a question like, with a simple question at the end, like, floss or brush. You could share pictures of people's really nice teeth, or you could have people, send in their smiles, or you could have several people, you could post pictures of people smiling and encourage people to tag themselves, in the photo of the smile that they wish their smile looked like.
Celebrity smiles. Just show the mouth and then later reveal which celebrity it is. Have people guess who the celebrity is.
Yeah, I can think of, a ton of opportunities like that. And, for services like that too, there's an opportunity where if you're doing all of these other things and you're keeping your audience engaged, they will be forgiving when, you do occasionally post, something, if you are a dentist, that you're offering up a new product and that you're really excited to tell people that the brand new teeth whitening service is now available at your dentistry, and that all they need to do is call this number or visit this website to make an appointment.
Okay, Mike's saying... Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. I'll read Mike's response in a moment.
I was just going to say I chipped my tooth last year, and I literally took a picture of myself when my dentist left the room with like gauze and all that stuff in my mouth, the clamps and everything, posted to my Facebook, she then told me that if people came to her from that post on Facebook, that she would give me a referral fee, and it did work. I actually did have a couple friends that went to that dentist later, so I don't know how exactly you'll work that in, but I'm sure you can find a way to work in referral fees to your business as well. And on that note, like a hair salon, my girlfriend works at a hair salon, and I'm constantly saying, you need to take after pictures of a good haircut, have them tag themselves in it, so that they're representing themselves, they look good, they're getting a cameo on the page, and then also their friends will see that.
So Mike's response is a really good one. He's saying, okay, if you have a service-based business, you want to show results, not the service. And I guess the reason that he was asking the questions earlier about service businesses is that they don't have any products to offer or to take pictures of or to have people engage with on the fan page. So show the results. That's a great idea. Let me ask you about one other service-based business that I know we have a lot of in the audience, developers, people who have development shops. How do they make their customers or potential customers part of the party, as you say in the monetization section there, and monetize?
Yeah, that's a difficult one because it tends to be a little bit less social, I think. But I can imagine if you're in the industry, and this goes a little bit out of our conversation, but I think you could put together some really fun little apps. And we didn't really get into everything with Twig and the Ultimate Page and some of the other things that I've done. But if you are like a development shop or a creative, agency type shop, that's a great opportunity to showcase your work on that Facebook page. And like I was saying before, if you can share links with the words, without leaving Facebook, and put, a little piece of maybe, like we were just talking about, results or an example of your work on the Facebook page, it could be really, really interesting to get people kind of engaged and see what you're capable of doing right inside Facebook. I think it could be really powerful.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of fun things that you could do with humor in relation to developers and computer geeks and, that kind of stuff as well. And I think it's also really possible for you to show it like internet fails, right? Like show pictures of where code has gone bad, right? Where things are not working like they should be and why it looks really, really bad. And it's important to have a good, strong developer.
Okay, one more question on this section before we move on. Did you give an example of the beauty of what you call micro-campaigning? What's a micro-campaign? I mean, what's a good example of a micro-campaign?
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to get to. That's great. So this is the other technique that I've used that's worked well in kind of an affiliate model. But imagine that if you've got multiple products.
And there's some affiliates in the office.
Yeah, I'm sure. As well. Yeah, this is a really, really good, I think, kind of tried and true technique, actually. And I probably haven't even used it as effectively as it could be done. And I'd really love to hear from some people in the audience if they manage to find a way that it really, really works. But one of the things that I've done, I'll give an example from the Ultimate Page, is I ran a themed week where what I did is every single day I posted a picture of a particular type of cleat, or I don't know how many international people are out there, but a boot, I guess. People, the footwear that Ultimate players wear. And every single day, I encouraged people to give their comments and reviews on a particular type of cleat. And then I watched as people liked the different comments and agreed and did those things. And then at the end of the week, what I did is I summarized all of the I guess user-generated content from the entire week in a single post, along with links to all of the different products where they could buy them. And I just did that through Amazon, and it was incredibly successful, just in a single day, particularly for like where I was at with the Ultimate Page at the time, and I've done some other examples too of that similar thing. But it's this really, really neat thing where you spend time kind of getting people really, really engaged seriously inside the content with kind of this promise of a sales pitch potentially coming, and at the end of it actually delivering.
And for the affiliates out there, this ultimate page that Lou runs is a great example of somewhat vague concept, right? Like this isn't like a specific business or anything like that. It's kind of a general concept or a general category. And don't be afraid to start pages like that where you're dealing with a general subject. In fact, sometimes those are the pages that are doing the best, right? Where somebody takes a concept like Ultimate Frisbee that anybody who's ever played can relate to, and they're now connecting with Lou in one location about Ultimate, and there he is able to monetize with cleats or things that are relevant to the game.
Yep, and I'd like to add like one other kind of variable, or I guess variance of this type of micro campaign is if you have a particular set of products that you yourself want to sell, you might want to solicit your audience for feedback for the type of promotion that they'd like to see on your page. So maybe you know that you're willing to give a big discount on one product for one single day. So what you do is you start, it's really a 3-post cycle. The first post is to say, okay, I want to hear you guys out. If you could have any product for free shipping and 25% off for one day, which product would it be? Then you get a bunch of comments. Again, you probably want to frame it in the like fill in the blank or simpler, or use a Facebook question for it, something like that. Follow it up with a final vote and pick the like 3 or 4 finalists for those products. And then after you've now posted twice, figuring out what product they most want, on the third one, give it to them. Hammer it down, send them the product, give them the link. They know it's coming. They actually have a true vested interest in it. You were able to give them 2 updates ahead of time of what's going on. And now you're not doing just this generic campaign that came out of nowhere. It's actually a fan-solicited campaign. And I've actually read some reports on this that you can get up to a 3x lift in the participation in that kind of a promotion versus just posting a regular one.
Okay. I was actually going to ask that. You just took the question right out of my mouth. I was going to say, what about the idea of just putting up a link straight up? You've done all this work to build up the audience. Is it okay to just post a link straight up? And it sounds like what your answer is, yes, it'll work, do it sparingly, but this campaign, the mini campaign, is going to work tremendously better.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Fair enough. A lot of people have been asking about the app marketplace as soon as they saw the fairy name app that you had on the Twig the Fairy page. So I'm eager to get to that. But let's start with that question that people keep asking. What is the app that you use for Twig the Fairy's, your fairy name?
You know, it's funny because when I made that, you know, the term like fan gating, well, I guess back up, it's actually a homegrown app. So I actually wrote that app. And, you know, in a general form, what it really is a quiz app, right? So people kind of enter in their input, and then at the other end, they get some sort of an output. And I get to that a little bit, but that app is something that I actually wrote. So it's not widely available.
Okay.
But
that's what I've been telling people. So then where do they get their own apps if they can't write apps themselves? Where should they go? Obviously, Wildfire has something to do with this.
Yeah, you know, I think there's really 2 good locations, and we're not affiliated with these guys in any way, but I can tell you that these guys have kind of been, in my opinion, the best in class of the kind of self-service, you know, cheap apps out there that can really kind of grow your fan base, and you can partner or I guess associate your Facebook page with some sort of an app to drive fan growth. And Wildfire is obviously one of them, and the other one is North Social. But I want to talk, I guess, first about the products that Wildfire has. And you know, for the people that are out in the audience, I think that you really want to try to focus on the 3 top ones that I mentioned here. The group deal. So if you've got a product and you want to do like a Groupon style type of sale, where you know if you cross a 100 threshold, you know, 100 purchase threshold, then all the people get a discount. Coupons are also kind of a very good one. So, the people that are interested in your product, you can offer them coupons if they like your page. And then similar to the Fairy Name app, there are quiz apps available from Wildfire that you can kind of customize and make customize them so that they are more kind of brand promotional for your own brand. And you can see here the pricing here. Even there are, I guess, affordable options for just about anybody. And then the most important thing that I wanted to mention here is that, and I don't know if everybody in the industry would agree with me here, but I really think contests and sweepstakes devalue your brand and devalue your audience quite a bit, because I think, just to speak frankly, I think a lot of people just want free shit, and I think that, by running some sort of a contest and sweepstakes on your page, the fans that you actually get out of that promotion aren't necessarily the fans that you want connecting with your page if it's going to cost you money. It's like I talked about before. For all of the people that are not in your monthly active users list, there's virtually no way to communicate with those people. And I think that people that run contests and sweepstakes, and I've seen this over and over, have some of the lowest participating fans on their pages. And I think it's just because people, tend to want to get free shit, so they sign up for the sweepstakes, like the page, and then go ahead and unlike it after they've done it, or never interact with the page ever again. So I just want to share my 2 cents on that. And it would be my recommendation to stay away from contests and sweepstakes if what you're really trying to do is build an active audience.
Okay.
And then I guess on the North Social and, the 2 apps that North Social brings to the table that I think are pretty interesting are their First Impression app, and then I guess in regard to what Matt just had to say about creating kind of community pages as kind of like the side campaign opportunity to promote your business. They've got a partner pages product that's pretty cool too.
How were you guys able earlier to limit access to Twig the Fairy's fan page, to limit access to it to people who actually liked her? Is that part of Facebook's fan page structure?
No, you actually have to write the code for that. It's fairly simple code, and for anybody out there that's familiar with Elance or anybody, that any place where you could get some freelance worker that has done even the smallest bit of Facebook programming will know how to do that for, I think, fairly inexpensive. And a lot of the apps that I just mentioned with Wildfire and North Social will have that incorporated in. It's called like gating. So it used to be called fan gating when fans were still fans. But that just means that content gets revealed after the person is willing to like your page.
I see.
And, I've got at the bottom here, we've got FacebookSwagger.com. This is something that I just finally got up this weekend, or I guess today, really. But what I'm going to start doing is sharing a lot more of these tips in a ton more detail, kind of on a regular basis, because I realize we're already 40 minutes over here, and we've barely even scratched the surface on this topic. And, Andrew, if you gave me the time, I'd probably talk for 10 more hours.
And I know that people would want 10 more hours worth of information from you. So you're saying that if they go to FacebookSwagger.com, they're going to see your blog where you share more tips and you try to go even into more depth than you did right here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to, right. So to answer, that the most recent question that was just asked about, how do we get this kind of like gating stuff? I'm definitely going to start sharing this kind of stuff in high level detail for people, so that they can get, a lot more information, and we'll go beyond all of these tips in more detail and even a lot more cooler stuff in the stuff that I kind of discover as I discover it too.
Okay, so if they want to like gate, which means rewarding people for hitting the like button by giving them special access, then for now, if they use an app from a company like Wildfire, they'll have access to that feature. Or if they go to Elance, they could hire somebody who can create that like gate. So I hope that's useful for you guys who've been asking that question. Let me go through some of the questions that people have been asking throughout, and then, of course, if you have other questions, I'll take them in a moment in the chat room. So let's see. A lot of them we actually asked as we continued. Oh, what happens when other people post on your Facebook page? You know, they see that you have some traffic and they decide that they're going to kind of compliment you as a way of getting attention for themselves or links to their fan page or their personal page or their personal campaign.
So is this similar to when somebody comments on your blog and they leave their link very plain and clear for people to see, saying they wrote something similar on the subject?
Kind of like that. It's less spammy, but on a blog it hits the comments and it's out of the way. On your Facebook fan page, if they write something on your wall, everyone gets to see it. And as you were showing the Twig the Fairy fan page, I didn't see a single comment that wasn't written by Twig or a single wall post that wasn't written by Twig.
Yeah, I'm so glad somebody asked this question because it just didn't make the cut in our agenda here. But the very first thing that I would tell people, I think, is to change your settings for your wall to be your posts only. And I think I can go in here and do this by going into Edit. And let me see if I remember here. Oh, I don't know why it's showing the wrong thing here, but you can see the options here, right? And everybody in the audience, I would strongly recommend that you put only posts by page as your wall option. And the reason for that is, I think what we just discussed is people, not only people, but people, accidentally hand over their account to some, malicious app that starts posting links all over the place.
Right.
And the last thing that you want for the first impression for somebody to visit your wall is 24 spam links not driven by you. So by resetting this setting right here to be only the post by your page, you really get to control the view that people have of your page. So and people still have the opportunity to post on Twig's page, and you'll see it here. If we go to the most recent, you'll notice lots of people have posted. Tons of people over and over, pictures, comments, all over the place. But, like you said, Andrew, you didn't see that because our setting is set that this is the default view and this is the way that we want it. And it doesn't necessarily encourage a ton of interaction as a community, but I don't think there's a really solid way to do that anyway. Not one that works very, very well. And this is a good way for, the times where we don't get to look at the fan page for 16 consecutive hours, that it doesn't get taken over by some spam link. And then I'd say, just as a policy for myself, anytime that I see people posting links that just aren't relevant at all, and they made no effort to be relevant, I just delete the post. And that's just my personal preference. And I'll get a message every once in a while asking people why they deleted it, and I'll tell them, frankly, if you're not joining the conversation, then your posts just get deleted, and that's just how it is.
And then, one more thing to add to that is you can go back up to repurposing your fans or quote your fans' content. If somebody posts something meaningful and maybe, you have this filter set and you know that not many people saw it, you can always bring this up that Laura posted a great picture and reshare that.
Gotcha. Okay, quite a few people earlier on were asking, what about the first 1,000 fans? We can see how once there's an active community that's liking and answering questions, that they bring in more people. But how do you get those first 1,000 fans that will then help spread the word beyond?
I'd start, seed the community with the contacts that you already have, right? So, that's the way that I started the Ultimate page, which is, in excess of 80,000 people and accelerating, is I play Ultimate. And I invited, I think, like 100 of my Ultimate playing friends, and I asked them, would you like the page? And then I started putting out good content, and, they started recommending the page to their friends or just interacting with the page. And because of the viral nature of Facebook, it would just spread virally. So everybody's got their own network, whether it's just small, or maybe you've already got a big platform with an email list, or you've got your website, or if you've got a brick and mortar store, you can print off business cards and then hand out business cards as people walk through the door.
How do you feel about asking people to invite their friends to like the page specifically? Like if I just posted, hey guys, I'm trying to get this page going, invite all your friends.
I think it can be done if it's done in like a fun way. In fact, back when Twig's page started, there was no such thing as a vanity URL for her page. The vanity URLs didn't come out till much later, and Twig was, I think, sitting at about 950 fans or so at the time the vanity URLs came out, and it required that you have at least 1,000 fans to get it. And what we did is we posted on the page, all it said is, I need 1,000 fans to get my own Facebook URL, followed by a frowny face. And that's all it said, and we hit 1,000 in the next 2 minutes. So, I think, if you want to do something like that, I think you just need to be a little bit clever about how you post it, rather than posting something just soliciting people and asking them to recommend the page.
Right, that's really helpful. What I'm seeing over and over in this session is ask for it. Ask for participation. Just keep asking, and ask for it explicitly. It's not enough to ask a question. It's more powerful to ask a question with a blank line and let people understand that they can fill it in, and then make it easy for them to fill it in.
Mm-hmm.
So I see that there's a lot of enthusiasm for all this. I actually see here Seth in the audience is saying maybe they could do a Beyond Facebook 101 version. Can they do another session? I think the other session is going to have to be Facebook Swagger for now. But I like the direction you're going in, Seth. Let me ask you guys this. If there are questions afterwards, can I take them from people who may be listening to the recorded version of this and pass some of them over to you, or create a place for them to ask their questions so that you can see them?
I think FacebookSwagger.com will be launched very soon, and I think there'll be an open channel for people to ask questions there. So I think in a couple of days here, you can ask questions that way, and you can sign up on FacebookSwagger.com for the actual launch date.
Perfect. And is that what that bar was at the top, telling us how much time before we officially launch?
Yep. Boom. D-Day.
There you go. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for putting on this session. It was really helpful, and thank you everyone in the audience who actually tried these ideas out as Lou and Matt were teaching them. If you're listening to the recorded version of this, come back and let me know how you're using these ideas. I hope you're using the ideas as you are listening to the recorded version. Come back, give me feedback, and of course, check out FacebookSwagger.com, where you can get even more information than we talked about here today. It's just Facebook, SWAGGER.com.